And what is up, everyone? Welcome to Beyond the Woodline. I am Joe DeHoyos. I'm the host of this little show. Um, just kind of wanted to jump on here, maybe about 30 minutes, and kind of introduce myself. I'm a part of the Parapost network now, and this is my debut show for that network. This is actually my 97th episode, also. So, for those of you guys who don't know me, again, my name is Joe DeHoyos. And this is my little show, man, and I got two of my best buds on me with me tonight, so they're going to help me out launch this show. And I've known them for quite a while. I've known Lupe for a number of years already. And Ernie, how long have I known you, Ernie?
Probably about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when we first went out, man. When you first came out there, we had a pretty good time for our first time out. For your first time out. One story I like to tell people is a story when you bought that parabolic dish. Well, just so everybody will know, we were actually doing some Bigfoot stuff, researching or exploring or whatever label you want to throw on it. And Ernie had made this parabolic dish. And you remember that breathing we were hearing?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it sounded like Darth Vader was out there. It was just one of the craziest moments that I think I've had out there. And one of my other favorite two stories are how we were out there like at 12 or 1 o'clock at night, and the freaking game warden pulls up on us. Remember? That happened
yeah,
to you and me twice.
yeah. It did.
Yeah, that was one of the weirdest things that ever happened. And people were like, "Dude, them guys aren't supposed to be out there that late." And we were out there in the freaking back roads, somewhere, and the guy rolls right up on us, man. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people already know Lupe. He's just here for his good looks.
Yeah, yeah, buddy.
Yeah. A lot of people are familiar with your story, Lupe. One thing I wanted to ask you though is like, what are some of the crazier moments you've had out in the woods?
Man, I think one of the crazy moments, believe it or not, was Fort Polk, Louisiana, man. 19, I want to say it was around 88, 89. You know, and me and a buddy of mine who was stationed there with me, his wife, she was about 8 or 9 months pregnant, ready to bust, barefooted. They were from I think Tennessee or Kentucky, man. And I had my little brother, my brother-in-law, and they were both about, I guess, about 10 or 13 at the time. And we had this old place up by between the Ritter and Leesville that we would go fishing at. It was way out in the boonies, man. And we had this little stream, maybe about, I don't know, 20 feet across, white sand, real pretty. And my little brother caught a catfish about midnight, I guess, around there. So I lit up a little fire. We were cooking it, man. And right across the other side of the stream, the wood line, that's where the wood line was at, straight up. Man, we were sitting there, me and my buddy and everybody, and all of a sudden this scream came out of nowhere. And first thing I did, I looked at it, I said, "Oh, that's a hog, man." I didn't know Bigfoot screamed at you and stuff like that. I didn't know none of that stuff, man. But every time I think about it, man, that's gotta have been, 'Cause that was loud. It went through you, It really went through you. And and something that freaked me out here recently was with Ernie, man. And that was probably what year was it? 2020 we were hunting
Yeah.
the last, yeah. And I had my back to the wood line. We're at a campground. Ernie's talking to me. He's looking towards the wood line, and the area there behind there is kind of clear. The pine needles probably, man, it's got to be a good 8, 10 inches thick, you know, on the ground. And Ernie's talking to all of a sudden you hear something just like jumped off the tree, like boom, hit the ground. And I turned around and looked, and I looked up on a pine tree, and all the pine needles are coming down,
Huh.
you know. So I said, "What the hell was that?" And I walked over there and I started looking around and everywhere. I couldn't find nothing to put on the ground, dude. You know, and Ernie just looking at me. I mean, that tripped me out, man, because it makes you start thinking about people. They talk about that. What do they call it? Like the cloaking.
What is
A
that?
lot of people talk about cloaking and stuff like that. I'm never a believer of that. But man, that
Okay.
day it made me start thinking about it. We didn't see right there. We could have saw what that quick. I turned around. We jumped off that tree. We came down. Nothing, man. That made me think about that, man, a lot.
Right. And what about you, Ernie? What was some of the weird things that have happened to you?
Mine was probably in Angelina Forest,
Uh,
that experience. But um, other times in Oklahoma, um, Mississippi, we had some good times. Uh, Louisiana at Goldana was pretty freaky. Uh, one morning we heard like a bulldozer coming through the brush. It was right at the break of day. Um, that made David, my other friend, pretty nervous. But then it stopped. He went probably 20, 30 yards, just crashing brush and stopped. But we didn't get much audio from that trip.
was that David Glass?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
David
yeah,
Glass.
yeah. Yeah, he's a good dude, man. You know,
Yeah,
he's a good. What about your story where you were bow hunting?
yeah,
Would you mind telling?
that was in Angelina. I had been bow hunting, and back then we used to try to follow the game laws, follow all the rules. Uh, so we wouldn't carry pistols, just bows. And um, I'd forgotten my quiver, and I was just carrying my arrows, and I'd shoot a Matthews bow, which is parallel limb bow. But my buddy, he set up one evening on a tree, and I was probably 500 to 600 yards away from him. And I remember walking through broken timber, and then I come up to my tree. Well, I hunted there that evening, and that night when I got down, I left my arrows in my climbing stand, so I wouldn't cut my bowstring. Well, in the morning we got there. I think it was like 4:30 in the morning. We were big time into bow hunting. Got there super early. I watched him climb his tree, told him good luck, and then started walking. I had my headlamp on. Um, that's a real important thing, the headlamp. Because I'm walking and I get to the broken timber, I walk through it, and then I see this animal. He's walking from left to right, and I I wear glasses, but I didn't have them on, and all I see is two big eyes, big eyes, and I forget what color they were now. Uh, but I'm thinking, man, is this a bear? And he's walking left to right, and he looks at me. Every time he looks at me, he growls real deep. I didn't have any arrows. I had my bow, no pistol, of course. And it walks, and just when I think I'm out of the woods, it turns back around and comes back, same path it had taken. And I'm thinking this isn't good. An animal, they're gonna flee from you. This animal wasn't scared of me, and um, I could I could make out it had to have been on all fours because all I could see was its eyes again. It was just black, and it got it was almost directly in front of me when I looked down with my headlamp to look at my bow to see how I was going to use it as a weapon. If I could swing it or what I could do because I knew something was about to happen. This animal wasn't scared of me. Well, I looked up and it stood up, and that's where it yelled real loud. And I whipped around and was able to make it out of that broken timber only because I had a headlamp. And I got all the way to my buddy, and he's like, Ernie, is that you screaming? I'm like, yeah, something was going to eat me. Something's going to eat me. And he's laughing up in the tree. And from that day, I this before Bigfoot was even in the radar. I'm thinking maybe it was a bear, but it was big when it stood up. It wasn't like a bear. I've seen the bear when I bow hunt in Colorado. You know, they're big, but they're not like this thing was. Um, it was a lot more. It was probably the most violent incident I've ever had out in the woods. But then I waited till daylight at his tree. I waited till good daylight, and then walked to my stand and just scurried up the tree as fast as I could. Didn't see anything that day, but that's about the gist of it.
Now, I say both of you guys are pretty avid hunters. I mean, what else could it be? I mean, what do you think, Lupe?
Man, I'll tell you what, when he first told me that story, dude, and we sat there, for a long time, he kept telling me he was going to tell me that story. I think we were at Brazos Bend State Park. I said, all right, Ernie, I want to hear your story, man. And when he told me, man, I was like, man, that's freaky. That's probably one of the freakiest stories that I ever heard. I was like, man, dude, you know, that something coming at me or yelling at me like that and you can see it, man? Nah, dude. You know,
well, all I could see is its eyes. So people say, well, do you think it was a dog man, or do you think it was a Bigfoot? I don't know what it was. I know it was huge. It was pitch black. My light just couldn't do anything to it. All my light could pick up was his eyeballs, big eyeballs.
you can see the outline of it, right?
Not really. No, not that I remember now. Because this was like in 90, 91. Yeah, I just remember it being huge, and that I really, really thought it was going to eat me, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, what else? I mean, what else is up there, Dupe, as far as that's going to be that big or that massive?
Man, bears haven't been seen in that. Well, at that time, I don't believe it was a bear. Yeah. I mean, bears are barely making a comeback now.
Yeah, barely, right? Barely.
I mean, man, that's me. This is Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it was either Bigfoot or a dog man, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
man, all I can go with is the eyes. They were big like that.
See?
I mean, just big.
Yeah. Whatever it was, didn't like you being there.
Yeah, it definitely didn't.
So Ruben.
And yeah, I knew nothing of Bigfoot then. I'd walk anywhere and camp anywhere back then. I was out of the Marine Corps in January of '89 is when I got out of Marine Corps, and I loved the woods. So,
right.
there was nothing scary out in the woods.
So, what did get you into Bigfoot?
Well, that incident, I kept thinking, what was that? And then it was a few years later, I started looking into what it could be. What would roar, what would growl like that. I've never had we had a bear in camp in Colorado one time. It was a nuisance bear. He had a tag in each ear, and he wasn't scared of humans. He'd sniff at the tent, push his head into the tent, and you could tell it was a bear. And I'm on the other side of the tent, and I got my 357 right at his head, but he never come through the tent. And then he'd tear up our camp, but I never heard him growl. The only time, we got the game warden involved there, and we were near Rifle, Colorado. We got the game warden involved, and the game warden found a hunter that had a bear tag. So this hunter, he talked I thought he was Fred Bear the way he talked, but I told him where the bear was going to come out, and the bear came out, and we were ready, and the guy shot and missed. And then I said, "Give it 30 minutes, he'll come back out." And then the guy shot and hit the bear in the right hind quarter, and the bear growled, just one big growl, real fast, and it ran off. We looked for it for 3 hours, but that's the only time I've ever heard a bear growl. But what I heard was a lot different.
And what about the fear? Like in that incident and the incident with the bear, did they even compare?
No, not even a little bit. Not even a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you probably had the normal everyday fear. I guess everybody else would fear of a bear, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have something for a bear now, but when I was bow hunting, I didn't.
Yeah.
I definitely put it to you this way: had I had a large caliber or any pistol, I would have shot at it. As when it turned around and started coming back in line with me, I would have shot then.
So you think it was charging you or just bluff charging you? Well, I guess it was a bluff charge.
Yeah.
It was a bluff charge because I'm still here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but you felt it, huh?
Oh yeah. But I would have shot at him way before he got directly in line with me again on that second time. Because that's just too strange. It was too high off the ground. When it was on fours, it was too high off the ground to be any animal I've ever seen in East Texas. But
So what? So what are some of the other places you've been, Ernie, that you really like that you think are Bigfoot are in the area?
Oh, well, the first time I went bow hunting in Colorado, it was near Norwood, near east as you are west of Telluride, and didn't know anything about Bigfoot, but hunting through the mountains and stuff, looking for elk with a bow. You got to walk a lot, and I would find parks, beautiful parks up in the mountains, and I'd take a breather and just rest. Well, trees would fall, and I'm like, man, I've never heard this many trees just fall. Uh, it was so much. I was thinking this place shouldn't have a tree standing as often as I'm hearing trees just fall over. But yeah, I did get scared one time on that first bow hunting trip in Colorado. I'd gotten somewhat of a brushed in area and saw some mountain lion tracks. For some reason, that kind of scared me, but
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
I got terrified by a deer.
Really? Did you?
Yeah, it screamed at me. Ernie knows
I
the
got
story.
terrified by a donkey.
You been telling the story about that deer?
Yeah,
I told
man.
you about that same day, that same place we were hunting at. Ernie, I went to this pond where all these pigs have been tearing it up, getting water and stuff, and they had a little berm there in front. I said, well, I'm gonna lay right here, and I'm just gonna point my rifle down where them pigs be coming out at. So I got the pond behind me, and to the left behind me. Well, I was laying there for a while. I mean, maybe an hour, man. And I'm laying there, and I guess this deer sees me, man. And I heard this scream. Rah! Well, I'm thinking it's Bigfoot, man. I jump up with my rifle, right, Miss Piggy? Because I see something brown and white to my left about 20 yards in the other side of the brush. And it's about 8 foot up in the air. So, hey, you know what I'm thinking, Bigfoot. But then when it comes down, I see the legs. Oh, it's a deer. It was a big old giant buck. And I lit out on him, but man, he did a U-turn, and poop went flying everywhere, and he took off the other direction. But yeah, man, he screamed at me loud. It was a deer, man, a big old buck. He scared the crap out of me, man.
Yeah.
Man, I swear I thought it was a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
One thing about that area is this year I had 4 cameras going all season, and the deer used to we could walk out and see deer just every day. Every time you're going to your stand, you see deer. Well, that year in 2020, my boys were telling me, Dad, what's Garrison, one of my sons, saying, Dad, every time I get to my tree stand, I hear rocks like somebody's knocking rocks right across this ravine. Because I had them set up on a ravine, pretty wooded. And I said, I think it's your imagination. Well, then I had another one of my sons. He was set up quite a ways. And he's saying, Dad, I thought I heard people talking out in the brush. I'm like,
Yeah.
nah. And well, then these stories keep coming from my boys saying, Dad, when I get up on my stand, I hear the rock clacking, and then when I get off my stand, I hear the rock clacking. And my other son saying, Dad, I hear whoop, whoop. I'm like, just trying to ignore them because I don't want them to have the fear that I have now.
Right.
So, but
Yep.
on the cameras, the deer have just completely moved out of that area. It's, that feeling where you get where you think somebody's watching you. Now at our camp, Loopy knows where our camp is.
Yep.
You have it constantly. And it was so much that my son and I quit deer season early this year.
Yep. I heard talking twice there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it talking twice. I've heard it once when I first started doing this. Then I heard it one day. Me and Walter were out there. Me and Walter both heard it out at his location. I know you've been there, Lupe. You ever been to Walter's location, Ernie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've heard it. So as you kind of come around and you park facing out on the other side of that little road right there, we were hanging right there, man. You could hear just real quiet. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
It's weird, man. Like I said, the first time I heard, I was sleeping in my truck, and the opposite side is facing the woods. I started hearing it, and I got this light that I put up, man. I remember I had it on top underneath my truck, but I keep hearing it, man. I would look out the window, man, and I'm like, man, please don't let me see nothing, And so Ernie went and dropped me off. I had a little blind set up on the ground. Ernie dropped me off, and they headed up to their tree stand. And I'm sitting there, dude, and I swear to my right side, and I'm looking down. I start hearing like somebody talking, but you can't make out what it is, and like somebody else answering back. So this went on about maybe 5-10 seconds, and I waited about 20-30 seconds, man. I said, man, I was like, I didn't know if I wanted to open up that zipper or not, that blind. So I did it real quick. And I jumped out my pistol, man, and there's nothing there, man. There's nothing,
Yeah. The first time I heard it, I didn't realize what I was hearing because I hadn't heard about that yet.
Yeah.
And I was walking out there, and my youngest daughter was way in front of me, and she was going around the trail was going to curve like that, right, off to the right, and she had her earbuds in. She was listening to music. And I'm like, and I heard people talking, and I'm like, Dad, get over here, get over here. You're gonna walk into somebody, And I had to yell at her because she couldn't hear me. So she came back to me, and we kind of stood right there. I'm waiting for these people to come out. And nobody ever came out.
Yeah. And, all the weird stuff that really, really happened has happened at that campsite.
Yeah.
With Ernie, man, that's a weird place. It's in the Davy Crockett National Forest,
Right.
And that's where Ernie goes. I got something to show you. He took me out the woods, and he showed me that big old tree structure, the teepee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these trees were that big around. I was looked up, and there's probably 8 foot off the ground in the middle part, 8 or 9, 10 foot, I'm like, holy crap. It's been there for a while. You can tell how old the wood was,
Right.
And I don't know if I showed you those pictures at one time or not, but man, this thing was huge. I was like, oh my God, man. That's my first time I ever experienced something like that.
Right.
But Ernie said it's been out there for years, and he took me out there to look at it. And I was like, golly, man.
Yeah.
That was a trip. I mean, they were locked in there tight, dude. Where they were crossed together on top.
Right.
And I was like, man, that's pretty neat. But that's freaky, man.
Yeah. Yeah, my cousins, they have that land up near Austin. They told me they would find structures like that, and that they would be like woven together, and they thought it was somebody just coming on their land messing with them,
Yeah.
or just doing stupid shit. But they said, man, we couldn't move some of this stuff.
Yeah, you get, man, I don't know what, like I said, a lot of people say they're rocking their territory. I mean, you don't know what it is.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, it's crazy to see. I mean, firsthand see something like that. I mean, there's tree structures that I've seen. They're like, it could be natural, man-made or something. But that really tripped me out. I said, man, Ernie, God, this is pretty neat, man. He don't take people out there, but he took me out there, to see it. And I was like, wow.
I don't know if you saw this comment earlier. It said a few months ago, I was on a Bigfoot sighting investigation. Got attacked by a 350-pound black bear. Scary stuff. She's at the taxidermist now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
We got it in the freezer.
Yeah, there you go. I don't even know if bear tastes good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a lot of people eat it. I've never eaten it, but I've always been wanting to try it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'd try a bear, but shoot, man. Yeah, I guess we lost Ernie over here. The Quaker Oats man.
That's my buddy right there, man.
Yeah, Ernie's a good dude, man. I tell people all the time, man.
I'll log back on. He just sent on Messenger. He's gonna log back on. Okay. I guess he got thrown off.
Yeah, he got kicked out. We'll see what happens here. Let me kick him out down here, maybe.
And it's weird about Ernie. I met Ernie years ago on Facebook,
Right.
And he always invited us to go hunting and stuff. And the whole time I've been going to church with his in-laws,
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking one day because he ended up moving down the road from me. And he goes, oh, my in-laws go to that church, and I've known them for a long time,
That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny,
Yeah, you never know who you're going to run into, man. It's funny. Yeah. I worked with a guy, and he started telling me about his cousin was all into Bigfoot and stuff, and he was all on Facebook, and he told me his name. I can't remember. I think it was Emmanuel. And they come to find out, I know him to the Facebook world. It was fun.
That's great, yeah.
Small world, man. And, like I said, part of the reason why I just wanted to do this is kind of, introduce myself to these new people and
yeah,
let them know that I'm not as weird as everybody probably thinks, but
I'm weird.
Yeah. Yeah. I got all my fingers, so I'm not too weird, I guess, right? What do you got coming up for yourself, Lupe?
Going back to work, man. Finally going back to work, bro.
Yeah. How's your noggin?
The doctor said I still got a little brain left.
Okay. Well, you had a little bit to begin with, so.
Yeah. It is still working, so that's okay.
The hamster's still going around on the wheel.
Yeah. Exactly. Just slow down a little bit.
Yeah. He's all right. Tough hamster. Okay. Well, cool, man. Well, I only want to do like a 30-minute show, man. So we're about at that time. So okay. I guess Ernie, we'll have Ernie on some other time, and we'll just end it here. But good talking to you as always, man.
All right, brothers. You take care, man.
All right. You too, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.